That is all my fault. My bad, guys. We'll start that over again. Welcome to the Sigma Show, episode 55. I'm your host, Sigma. Before I let you know who we're joined with today, real quick, we're going to go into our topics for the week. First up, the Halo TV series has its first trailer. We'll talk about our impressions of that. After that, Google Stadia is doing a rebrand or a complete shuttering, one or the other. We'll talk about kind of if this really means the end of Google's video game ambitions. And finally, big news from last week, or 2 weeks ago, I should say. Sony has purchased Bungie, makers famously of the Halo franchise, now Destiny and Destiny 2. We'll talk about what this means and the specifics of that kind of unique deal. And here to discuss these things with me today are Ash Redux.
Yes, sir. That's me, Ash Redux.
As well as Blue Bones.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Blue Bones, BLUB0 NES.
And Rachel Kaiser.
Hi, everyone. I know we're not talking about Activision Blizzard this week, but we're talking about big business deals, so that's what I'm here for.
Right, and we are happy to have you, even if it's not, a huge sexual assault controversy.
That's all right. That's all right. I'm making my bones elsewhere in this case. No pun intended.
Oh man, that could be really bad if you did intend that.
I did not. No. The minute it left my mouth, I was like, "Oh, that's gonna sound really bad, isn't it?"
But on that note, let's really quick, since we do have a lot of topics today, we'll go over our regular what you've been playing and watching. Blue, you had something you were kind of anxious to get off your chest.
Yeah. What's up, y'all? This week I've been watching. I always watch anime. I'm a weeb, right? But this week I've been doing a lot of like live action. Watching one Abbott Elementary.
Yes. Oh man, that show's great.
That show is amazing. I love it for almost everything that it is. Great comedy. I wish Quinta and the rest of the cast the best, and hopefully more seasons to come. Foundation. I'm watching Foundation on Apple TV. That show is a trip. After taking an astrology class, astronomy.
Yeah, I'm about to say like
astronomy class.
Don't mix them up.
Astronomy.
Took a whole,
I did the same thing
whole
while I
class
was
on
taking
astrology.
Like I got to be. So after taking that, I definitely gained an appreciation for the vastness of the universe, and I feel like Foundation, not just the physical space, but time. Foundation really tackles on time, space, and now I'm getting to a point where it's kind of magic now. So I don't know. Like it's coming through. It feels it's cool. You're learning something new every time. Sick. Have you watched it at all?
No, I finished all of Foundation.
Oh,
the thing you're talking about, like the stuff that does seem like magic, they kind of explain it as just advanced math, like really, really advanced math.
So they have, like I do,
like which I appreciate. Like I think it's really cool how they,
like equated to math.
Yeah.
But they just got to a point where they're like, math can't explain this, and so I'm just like, okay, here we go. This is gonna be interesting. Yeah, Foundation, a lot of fun, and last but not least, I've been playing up games like Monster Hunter Rise. It's been fun, blah blah blah. You guys already heard about that. Murderville. I watched the first episode last night. Have you guys heard about Murderville?
It sounds familiar.
No.
Will Arnett, from Arrested Development, Job. He is a detective in Murderville, and he needs to solve these murder cases. He's a homicide detective. He always gets a new partner every episode, and it's some celebrity who doesn't know the script, and they have to figure out, one, they have to go through every scene and improv their way through it, and then two, they have to figure out who the actual murderer is.
That sounds amazing.
And I tell you, bro, I thought it was gonna be a little corny, and I'm watching. The first episode was with Conan O'Brien, y'all. I was losing my mind just because they put them in positions just to say and do wild stuff while they're trying to figure out this case, and it's just so dang funny. I feel like Will Arnett is one of the actors who has not lost their touch in years. From Arrested Development to BoJack Horseman, he even did one called I think it's called Flake or Flaker, or he did one solo show that was just relatively terrible in my opinion, but for what he does, like the comedy that he does, he's never lost its edge in my opinion. I feel like he kind of brought back his dramatic role in BoJack, ironically, because it's a cartoon. but in
Yeah, it's kind of a
Murderville,
definite
I'm
mix.
so yeah, I'm so happy to see him alive and well and really hitting the jokes like he used to in Murderville. I'm having a great time with that.
Yeah, I definitely want to check that out.
Yeah, man.
All
But that's really what I
That
got
wraps it
right
up for
now.
you. Ash, anything you
Yeah.
wanted to share with the class?
I haven't been playing anything new since the last time. So, like Final Fantasy and Guardians of the Galaxy. But what I don't think I shared last time is me and my wife actually just finished Fruits Basket. So, if anybody doesn't know what Fruits Basket is, that's it. Honestly, at least I don't know, like sales wise, right? But if I remember, like how popular it seemed to be around the same time of like Inuyasha, like Cowboy Bebop, it was basically like the shoujo like Inuyasha, kind of like in like popularity and how much people cared about it.
Yeah, like I
stuff.
heard the name tons and tons, but never
It's
actually.
definitely
Oh yeah,
watched
it's
it.
definitely staple of that like era. Just a different demographic, basically. Granted, though, I remember in high school I had started. We had in our school library, we had manga in our school library, and I started reading. I saw Fruits Basket. I read everything else that we had available, which honestly was a decent selection for a school library. They had more manga than they really should.
Yeah, like
have.
you had one manga.
But-
That's a decent
Yeah, I'm
selection.
tripping,
Like
son.
my school library
Oh, yeah.
didn't have none of
My
that.
manga got burned. You know what I'm saying? Like something about it. They was like, nah, dog. What is this witchcraft?
But so like I already read all the Naruto, the Inuyasha, and other manga that they had there. So I started reading Fruits Basket. Didn't finish, even though I thought it was still like an interesting plot. But my wife had already seen another like shoujo anime before, which was Ouran High School Host Club, which I actually really like.
That right.
Fire. Ouran High School Host Club is fire. So I told her, I was like, hey, you might like Fruits Basket. She watches shonen anime too, but I was like, you might like Fruits Basket since you enjoyed Ouran High School Host Club. And we just finished watching the 2019 rendition of it because they did like do it again or
Like they
whatever in
reanimated
2019. They reanimated it. And as I'm going through and I'm remembering it again, I'm like, oh, dang, I did like this, didn't I? Like that was really my beginning. It's like, wow, I really did enjoy reading. Like I enjoyed the characters and everything. Honestly, I think Ouran High School Host Club is really good for anybody if you like that one. I think Fruits Basket, even though it has, just like Ouran High School, some corny moments or whatever, because it is technically meant for teens. We're adults now. So, some moments you'd be like, yeah, for a teen, this would be like super romantic or whatever. As an adult, it's like, this is basic surface level, but it's all right, cool, we'll keep going. But there's some really like deep like trauma in Fruits Basket for all the Zodiac members, like really deep trauma. They've been through some crap. You're just watching like, oh my God, I hate this character. Then, they do here's this character's trauma. You're like,
now
I still hate you, but I get it now.
Yeah.
But at least I get it. But then you're like, will they make a 180? And then by then you're like, fudge, do I like you? I guess everybody, it's almost like if like you weren't in real life, right? Let's say you have somebody you care about and somebody did them horrible. They did them dirty. They jacked them up horrifically. You're like, man, I can't believe that. I don't like that person. But whatever happens between them and they forgive that person, now you're like, they didn't do anything to me. If you forgave them, I guess I really should. You forgave them. They did actually hurt you. So that's how it is at the end. Like everybody kind of moved on. That's literally the whole thing is at the end is just like how to move on and growth. So honestly, Fruits Basket is great. So yeah, and watching more Ranking of Kings. That's what we've been doing.
Nice.
Ranking of Kings.
Nice.
Shut
I
that
do
out
have
every
a question
time.
about Fruits Basket real quick.
Go ahead.
And hopefully it just doesn't take too long. I noticed I had to look it up. I noticed it's not Fruit Basket. Like it's not one. It's Fruits Basket.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give us like the very small explanation on why it's that? Or not? Maybe it's just a Japanese thing.
I don't know. I have no idea why it's called Fruits Basket. The way I like to think about it.
That's the only short answer when it comes to manga.
Yeah, like anime titles. I don't know.
I feel you.
I literally told Khalil, like, because I remember I didn't finish reading the manga, so I was like, maybe by the end of this, I'll know why it's called Fruits Basket. Still had no idea why it's called Fruits Basket. The way I like to think about it is it's like, fruits basket, and we have, Granted, a fruit basket has multiple fruit in it, so I don't know why, but it's fruits basket. I was just like, maybe there's all these different Zodiac members.
It's probably just
in a basket. I don't know,
translation, right? Like
the
Japanese, when they use English words, sometimes they just like the sounds of those words.
Yeah.
So who knows? Right,
So,
DJ and
that's
Chad,
all I
that's
got,
like
but-
asking why bleach is called bleach. Exactly.
I did ask that question, and that answer was
The answer is stupid.
I feel like that was worse than what I thought it was.
The answer's pretty stupid. Honey Money also has some similar
from Say Time of like
she says His
Evangelion.
and Her
Yeah.
Circumstances is a good relationship anime.
Oh yeah, I know that one.
That name again?
his,
I'm taking notes.
his and her circumstances. These are all like stuff that when, especially as a teenage boy, like I'll watch, but I felt like I wasn't supposed to like it. The
I mean,
demographic
it probably wasn't
was
aimed
for
at you, but like it's probably still quality storytelling. So,
but it's still quality. So I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm enjoying this. But that's why I stopped reading Fruits Basket in high school, because as I was reading it in like anywhere else, and people were like, at least even not everybody like there, especially during that time, they were like, manga's lame, anime's lame. My school was definitely more accepted. I feel like we had an anime club. And
we grew up in
everything.
a different time, Ash.
yeah.
No, I mean, people still like, you were still they treated you like a weeb, even if they didn't know what a weeb was. But you know what I'm saying? Like, but I still felt more weird. People look over and be like, oh, you're reading Naruto, you're reading Dragon Ball Z. Oh, that's lame, but move on. But if you're reading Fruits Basket and it's very, the artwork is intended for a teen girl demographic, they're looking at like, what is this? So, they'll have a whole different for that time period thing to say if they see
I'm
you
sure.
reading Fruits Basket. So, it's just like you're lame and you're, they'll start throwing out other things that you don't want to be referred to as.
Of
So it's like,
course.
oh, okay, I think I'm going to read
Yeah.
this or stop. So I just stopped.
Fair enough.
But yeah, that's all I got.
All right.
Got you.
Rachel, anything you want to share?
Well, I've already told Casey this, but I literally can't tell you all what I've been playing, but if you check my Twitter, you can see a picture of it on my dashboard. But yeah, the embargo is not yet lifted on that. So, but one thing I can tell you, I thought y'all might find this funny. I was checking out like the new updates, the patch that came out a few weeks ago, or God, it's probably a month ago now, for Baldur's Gate 3.
Okay.
And then I got bored, and I went into the character creator, and I made Nancy Drew. the Baldur's Gate 3 character creator is simultaneously very diverse and also very limited.
Yeah,
So,
I wrote
like,
a
you can
thing
choose from, like,
on it
7
actually not
Yeah,
too long
you-
ago.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it's like 7 different species, 4 different female faces for all of them. So,
Oh wow.
and then, but I saw that you could make a character. You could give a character like orange hair, and Nancy Drew classically has like orange brown hair. It's called Titian, but which was only the way it is, I think, because of coloring problem on the original book jacket covers.
Oh,
So
that's
she was
kinda
originally
cool.
supposed to be a blonde, I think, but
Oh, that's
they
awesome,
basically
actually.
made her like a light strawberry blonde in later editions, and then that just became part of the Nancy Drew mythos. And so I saw that and I was like, oh, let's see if I can make Nancy Drew. And next thing I know, I'm like an hour deep into her proficiencies. It's like, okay, does this make sense for her? Does this make sense for her? For the record, Nancy Drew is a human rogue with arcane proficiency because she's really good at puzzles.
But
Arcane trickster.
she hates magic though.
Stealth as well. So
Makes
yeah,
sense. That
and
checks out.
sleight of hand because if you play the games, she's constantly swiping things. So
That's nice.
anyway,
No, that checks out. Like oftentimes the
I have
character
screenshots
creator.
if you'd like to see them.
Yeah, the character
actually
creator is
would.
the
You could
best
share them.
part of like a big MMO. Is like just trying to roleplay something or someone. But
You already know
yeah,
my views on customization. I
it's the whole game for Blue.
customize to the cows come home. It's a lot of it. Immersion's
Here.
important.
I will put it on Twitter. Hang on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so make sure you check her Twitter.
Anyway, that's all I have to share.
Okay, so yeah, I've been playing a ton of Sifu. The game is not out yet, but embargo stuff
Jealous.
just dropped. And my review is actually up on Escapist right now. Like it launched earlier today, so you can check out my full thoughts.
Okay.
I won't take up too much time going into the nitty gritty of it because I'll probably be talking about.
You can tell me all of it.
week. But
Do it. Tell me
suffice
everything.
to say, Internally, we do scores, like we don't publish them anywhere. I gave Sifu a 10, and that's the first 10 I've given anything I've reviewed at, at Escapist. So I'm very high on that experience right now.
That's what's up.
Yeah, but that'll do it for too broke. That'll do it for our what you've been watching. We'll jump into the first topic here, which is the Halo series official trailer. Halo, which is coming to Paramount Plus. I think this year. I can't remember the date, but sometime this year is going to be.
But that was next month.
It's next month. Is that soon?
Said March. Said March. Well, if it said 2022, then it's March 24th, I think.
All right. Well, Ash, since you seem to be in the know, like you want to start us off here? Like,
I just watched it for the first time this morning. That's why.
No, that makes sense.
That makes sense. Streaming March 24th.
Yeah, so this is like very soon, much sooner than I thought it was coming. What are you guys' initial reactions? Because I know there were some strong ones across the internet, but I'm more interested in what you guys are feeling after watching the first trailer.
Actually, no, Blue.
Go ahead, Ash.
No, you sure?
Oh, okay. I'll go. Man, they spent money on this.
Microsoft, boy, that's what I saw too. I was like, they spent money. I'm sorry. I'm just agreeing. I was like, this is movie budget for a TV show. That's what it looked like. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, it looks like they spent mad money on it. I saw the little what was it, the SUV that was in there. I thought that was funny.
Oh, you mean the Warthog?
Yeah.
Call it an SUV, little sport utility vehicle.
Yeah. Dropping off the kids after the war. But overall, I liked it. But I think they're doing a Sonic with Cortana.
Oh, okay.
A stupid looking Cortana, and then everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, that looks human," and then they're like, "You know what? We listened to the fans, and we're gonna redo it, and it's gonna look exactly how the freak it was in the games, like it was supposed to be from the get go."
So you think they'll change it? I don't know if the backlash is that harsh.
I know, but the fact is, I think they know it doesn't look like the original. And it looks. I think it looks significantly different. And they know that. So, yeah, I think that was a very bold choice to make Cortana completely different, or not completely different, but so different, considering she's such a staple as just like this holographic figure, this clearly holographic figure, not this person that is being made.
That has like an effect on them. It really is like the actual actress just with an effect over her.
We understand that's actually how it works, but it looked more of a hologram before. It looks a lot less now, which to me it takes a little bit out of it, because that was the cool thing about Cortana. She was a living AI. But the more real she looks, I think that takes it away from me. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with it. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not happy with it. If they redid it, I'd be cool. I know that they know it doesn't look like the original feel. So let's just see what they do with it. But man, they spent money on this. Whenever I see a series with a high budget, especially on the first season, the story has to slap, or else there's no second season. I'm looking at minimum. The story has to slap minimum. I'm looking at Jupiter's Legacy. I thought that story was amazing. They spent way too much money on it. Didn't get a second season. I wouldn't want that to happen to Halo. I would not want that to happen to Halo. But yeah, I think it's a strong possibility.
I think it's a reception thing, right? Like if enough people aren't watching or buzzing about it, then they may feel like that money was wasted, and definitely just shutter the whole project.
And then we're done.
Yeah, that'd be unfortunate.
That's what I'm afraid of. Yeah.
Okay.
But it looks cool.
I mean,
it really does.
Like
it really does.
Like that was my first impression. Like it looks like shockingly video game accurate, which I'm not really sold yet on whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, because there are instances where like you put video game imagery in a movie set and it works. Like, okay, this is the way I want it to look because that's how I remember it looking. But because it's a new medium, all of a sudden everything's very goofy, right? Like a lot of like Batman stuff,
Creed?
Huh?
I was gonna say Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, well, no, Assassin's Creed looked great. Like it looked just like the game. The story was just bad. Like that was the thing that was revealed, is that Assassin's Creed actually has a pretty paper thin plot. But it looked just like Assassin's Creed, which was great. But Halo is a sci-fi thing, so like it's gonna need kind of all these effects and whatnot to really sell it, or will all that stuff just look really goofy on screen? Like, I don't know yet. Like, we kind of want to see more. Like, but from the short clips in the trailers, like, it looks okay so far. So like, I'm cautiously optimistic. The thing about Cortana is I fully understand what the TV people are trying to do. Like, no, it doesn't look like hologram Cortana, but that's because they want you, the audience, to better identify with this AI as a human. They want to make it look more human so that you feel more connected to it and more believable. Because in TV land, if something looks too fake, then the audience can't grasp it. Whereas we as gamers are like, all this bullshit is fake. All these polygons don't look like people. But like, we empathize anyway, right? So I think that's a disconnect there. The same thing with how they're significantly changing the story. Like, they're not retelling the Halo games plot. Like, they're kind of doing their own thing. And like, they have a human who's kind of the representative of the Covenant. Like, oh, this human works with the Covenant, and that's kind of the face of the enemy. And that's either one to, like I said, have a human antagonist for audiences to latch onto, or two, to save money on a bunch of CG so that it's not like a Covenant face talking to you all the time, right? So like, these kind of concessions seem to be necessary just to make a TV show work. And I wonder if it'll affect the story. But I'm actually excited to get Halo story that isn't something I'm already aware of. Like, if you're going to tell me something new and fun and interesting, I could fully get invested in that because I don't already know what's supposed to happen and won't be judging it against that metric. So I don't know. Like, it could go wrong, but right now I think they're putting in the time and energy to actually make this work. So I think it's going to be okay, is my take. How about you, Ash? Yeah, because like, you seem like you got a lot.
Ash, you can go first.
Okay. All right. So I didn't really like grow up playing Halo like that. And then because I was like a Nintendo kid for most of my life, and then when I got in Xbox 360 and I tried Halo, don't ask me which one, I realized I sucked at it. So, being a kid and sucking at a game, I didn't think the game was bad. I just was like, I don't want to play this because I suck. So I don't have any like real attachment to Halo whatsoever. I just always thought that the characters looked cool and just the game looked cool, So I was like, cool. When I heard there was going to be a Halo TV show, I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. This way, even if whether it's the actual like lore or not, I can still like kind of learn more about some of the characters a little bit. I'm sure they'll at least keep personalities close, even if the story is different, or whatever. So I was like, all right, cool. Maybe I can actually get more into Halo with this. I played a little bit of Halo Infinite, thought that was cool, but that's all I got. So when I saw the trailer, I'm looking at it like you said, Blue. I was like, oh, Microsoft definitely put some money into this, which makes sense. Halo is a big proponent of Microsoft gaming in general.
Yeah,
so if you did not
character, like it's their
like if you do not invest, if they didn't invest into this TV show, it wouldn't make sense. As much money as Microsoft is throwing at so far, like these past couple of years, if they didn't throw that same amount of money into this TV show for it to be successful, I would have been surprised. But I just didn't expect it to look this good. It really looked like almost like movie budget to me while watching it. But to the whole Cortana thing, before I get into my actual whole overview of the trailer, after I watched this, I had an idea of what Cortana looked like from over the years and just seeing like GIFs or clips, memes, etc. And I was like, that's not Cortana. When I looked at it, I was like, that's not Cortana. She looks weird. I don't know how I feel about this, but I'm also not a big fan, so I didn't care, right? I was like, that's whatever. I'll get by because I'm not attached to Cortana at all as a character. But I do think, like you said, Blue, they know this doesn't look like Cortana. I went, but after I was like, let me look at like how Cortana's looked over like the mainline series over the years and stuff. And granted, they did seem like they started trying to make Cortana look more realistic. I don't know if that's just because of graphics, though. Like graphics improved, so maybe that's why. But like by Halo 4, like what's this Halo? I don't know what CE means.
That's
so
Combat
it's called Halo.
Okay. That's just the first game.
Okay. Was that the first game she was in? Yeah. Too? Okay, cool. So in there, she's literally hologram, little portal underneath her, very 2D almost even. But that's also the time. So by Halo 4, she almost looks like a person
Yeah, it's just a blue
in
lady.
Halo 4. Yeah, just a
Yeah.
blue lady. So I was like, okay, but at least she's
Completely
still
blue.
but she's still blue, right? So I'm like, I definitely agree with that, the blue part. And then I was like, is she? I don't want to do spoilers. I looked to see if she was in Halo Infinite. I found an AI in Halo Infinite. Whether that's Cortana or not, I won't say because I don't want to spoil it for people. And I saw that one. I was like, this also is it. I thought maybe they were more inspired by Halo Infinite since that's a newer game. So that's why I wanted to look.
Mhm.
And even then, still very blue, whoever this character is, for people who I'm not spoiling for. So I don't understand fully. Like I follow what you said, Casey, and it does make sense to me still. But I feel like they still could have made her look how
Just
she looks right now, but just make her very blue.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
no,
sympathizing with the AI is the whole point, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like of Master Chief's relationship with her, sympathizing
Yeah.
with an AI. That's the whole point of that. Making it more human, I think, cheapens that effect.
True.
Well,
I can see that.
I do understand what Ash is saying about how this seems to be the logical endpoint of Cortana's evolution from like
Yeah.
very, very sort of like not very detailed AI figure to progressively more beautiful and sexualized human female avatar.
Definitely by
And-
Halo 4, looking at these pictures. Definitely more
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
but I think what they lost in that evolution was who or what she originally was.
Right.
By trying to make her so, I guess, relatable. You know?
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
yeah,
But I just
yeah.
don't think this started with the TV show.
right.
Oh yeah,
right,
no,
yeah,
by
yeah.
no means. Yeah, no, but I think the TV show was a dramatic jump from the games. I know she's been evolving, but again, like that whole she's not really blue thing. She's like a very slight filter of blue. I think that's important. I think that's super important because you can clearly see that she was a program at that point. Even if she was like a high res blue woman, that'd be different than what they got on their.
Yeah, they could have turned the tint up a little bit.
I'm just saying,
But the,
Slide that tint slider a little bit
but
more.
I think that's the exact reason why they changed it in this, right? Because like you guys are saying, like, oh, her blueness kind of codifies her as AI, and the fact that she's AI is important to the story. It is, but also important to the story is the fact that this AI isn't just any AI. This is the most realistic, intelligent AI that has ever been created, right? It's an AI that can do basically what humans do, like think and rationalize and whatever. And so to make it look more human convinces your audience that it is more human, which is kind of that's the arc of that whole thing.
I hope the writing supports that.
I mean, yeah, that's the story they're trying to tell. It's a story about, like, you know, AI's power and influence over the world, aside from all of the, you know, the Halo Ring Master Chief stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody oh sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, with regards to Cortana, I do think it's interesting that Cortana is like the focal point of all conversation that we're having about this trailer right now. Kind of highlights how very little they're showing us in the rest of the trailer, I think. But my thing with the so this show's been in development for a long time, like
Yeah.
well over a decade by this point, hasn't it? I mean, hasn't it been in development like since the aughts?
Yeah,
I
like,
think it's really Spielberg's been threw money behind this. Like he introduced it at an E3, wasn't it? I want to say 2007. That might be too long ago, but
no, I don't know. Remember, Halo 2 and Halo 3 were in their day like the biggest games on the planet. They were absolutely shopping movie deals around as far back as like the early 2000s.
Yeah, so they were they debuted this a long time ago. They've been workshopping this series for a very long time. It's been stuck in development hell, and it occurs to me that the only thing that they would have been able to like properly like develop over that time period, because they wouldn't have had a story, they wouldn't have had like any other characters to work with, none of that would have been solidified. The only things that would have been consistent across the entire development process are Master Chief and Cortana.
Mhm.
And I would actually love to see like what kind of like design iterations of Cortana happened ever since those early stages of development. Like there was probably like an iteration where she was like almost like identical to the games, like a purely holographic figure. And then, I'd be kind of interested to see like what kind of focus testing led us from like those stages of development. Again, I'm assuming they happened, but I mean, I think it's a pretty safe assumption that they happened.
Mhm.
Like what kind of focus testing or just general feedback from the higher ups and the producers and the writers would have happened to bring her from like those sorts of designs to this kind of more human design. And I would like to see some of their some of the behind the scenes justification for it, because there's got to be, at this point, there's got to be, like, you could write books about the Halo development, the TV series development process.
Yeah, it sounds like it's been a bumpy road for sure. And yeah, I probably similar to the whole Sonic situation that Blue mentioned, there were probably a lot of other hands and money people involved in changing the look.
That Sonic one didn't make sense though.
Based on mass
appeal. It didn't make sense.
I mean, they looked at other things that made money and decided that this thing, if it was going to make money, had to copy those things. So they went to Dr.
But
Seuss
it looked bad. Like, who looked at it and didn't think it looked bad?
I'm disappointed that you believe that they were really trying to go with that first Sonic iteration.
That's why I can't believe it. It looked bad though. Like, it just looked bad.
No, I'm telling you, this is what happened. The actual, like, animators made a Sonic that looked like Sonic, and then the suits got involved. It's like, that looks like a cartoon character. This is a CG movie. Make it look more real. And then the animators was like, oh, you want it to look real? Like, they took the note and then they put it out. The rest is history.
I can see that
Publicity
too.
stunt, bro.
I mean, call me a blasphemer, but I actually don't think human Cortana looks that bad.
Yeah, I don't think she looks that bad.
She's a perfectly lovely actress, and I think, if I'll be honest, if it's the trade-off between, like, having the actress with a slight filter over her and having a completely CG version of the character, and, if the actress with a filter over her could have been so much more, granted, we see 2 seconds of her in the trailer, so if that's all I have to go on, could be much more jank than it is. So, I don't know. I think she looks lovely, she sounds lovely, and
yeah, it is still Jen Taylor. Like, she's still doing the voice.
Yeah, it's Jen Taylor, yeah. So if that's how she appears in the series, honestly, I will not throw my toys out of the stroller.
No. I will ask real quick. I shared I said I can't share with everybody in the thing, but I shared, somebody said they fixed Cortana, and they basically just edited it. I said
she's just blue now.
They made her more blue, but she's also more transparent too. Like, you can see through her now. You couldn't see through her in the actual trailer. Like, you just actually pause it. You can't see through the hologram in the trailer. So it does make her seem more like a hologram, not just the blue, but you can see the background behind her, which is kind of nice of a touch that they did. I don't know who edited this. They did a good job though. But I actually don't know which one I picked between the two, since this is just, a freeze frame picture, not in motion like it was in the trailer, so I can see it move a little bit. But this does, like, if I saw this, I would have probably believed it more so than when I saw the original trailer. I'd be like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's definitely a hologram. You know what I mean? But I don't know. This one does kind of push the uncanny valley for me a little bit, because they're going for that CGI, like, hologram, but not hologram look. Mm-hmm. So this almost is like it's a cutscene from a video game, a little bit like an actual video game cutscene that I'm seeing, but inside of a Halo live action TV shows. That's the only thing that's a little off-putting to me, because it's not obviously a hologram. It's a little uncanny valley to me, but I still don't mind it at all. I'd watch it.
Yeah, just for some reference to what Ash was just talking about, I threw the picture above us in the corner. So that's the edit. Oh. That's not what the character looks like. They just kind of put her face on old Cortana's body, I think, and then, like, just did some Photoshop stuff.
Yeah, whatever they did, it looks.
So you're saying you prefer this? Like, if they had done this, I think I'd be happier, even as a casual Halo observer.
I'm about to say, that's what I don't know about happier. I just think it would make more sense to me as a casual Halo viewer. I don't know if I'd be happier. I'd still watch the show just the same, because I don't have any attachment to Cortana. Mm-hmm. But it's more like, like if it's a game, that series that you don't really play, but for other gamers, you're happy for it. I'm like, oh, they rebooted this series for you guys. Good for you guys. I'm glad you guys got it. Yeah, good. I'm glad you guys got that. That's great. Sounds good. So, that's kind of where, if it looked more like this, like, oh, that makes sense. I mean, that looks like what I would expect Cortana to look like in modern day if they, like, redesigned it a little bit. Yeah, sure, go for it. That's where I'd be.
Fair enough. All right, anything else on the Halo trailer?
Master Chief looks cool.
Oh yeah.
He's there to look cool.
Kind of hard to mess
he
up.
Looks
to be
cool.
honest. He's
Well,
kind of hard to.
He
make.
could have looked like a
There's
Power Ranger.
cosplays
He
that
could have
are
looked like
better.
a he could have looked like a Power Ranger. You know what I mean?
Well-
Power Ranger TV show needs to put more money in their stuff, but that's a whole different story. Go ahead.
I always get a little like uncomfortable every time there's like the suggestion of like possibly Master Chief having like seeing Master Chief's skin or like not even his face necessarily. In one of like the teaser trailers, like you see the back of his neck when he's putting the helmet on, and I was just
Yeah.
like, oh, how scandalous. So
Right. I mean, they do describe like what he looks like in the books quite a bit. Like he's supposedly like very ghostly pale and this, that, and the third. Because he just never takes off his armor, which I think is regular for Spartans of his generation. Like later Spartans that come after him don't do that as much. He's kind of like, but also he's not like the last Spartan, right? Like this story starts with just other Spartans. So like that whole lore apparently might also be thrown out the window. So like we really don't know. This might be a Master Chief who just regularly has his helmet off and just talks to folks on a regular basis. Like we don't know. Like they have.
I didn't know.
No, go ahead.
But I was gonna say I didn't know that information you just shared, and I honestly that just kind of made Master Chief cooler for me. So I
No, he's a really cool
character.
character. Like his lore is
But
not
he's like,
terrible.
he stays ready. You know what I mean? He just stays ready. He's like, you don't know what I've been through. I'm Master Chief. I stay ready.
Yeah, like
anything
he's-
could pop off any second.
Like that, like that's that back and forth because he's a super soldier, and I'm going into some geeky Halo lore or whatever. But he's a super soldier who's genetically engineered to win wars, to like fight battles and stuff, and that's all he knows how to do. So essentially, he is very machine-like in his behavior and mannerisms. Like he has a directive, he goes and he completes it. Whereas Cortana,
is that why he relates to an AI?
exactly, which is why Cortana has partnered AI. As she slowly becomes more human, like they're kind of the opposite of one another. So like it really makes their relationship shine. So if they're trying to dig deep on that juxtaposition in the show, I think it could work because that's a very strong kind of like core thread to like pull on and like have and see like change over time. So like all the other extra little ancillary changes, like I don't mind as long as they kind of nail like the core of those relationships. Like in that case, it'll still feel like Halo to me. But yeah, another thing that I remember fans were like kind of complaining about is that Pablo Schreiber, who's playing Master Chief in this, he's using his voice. Like it's not Steve Downs' super deep, luxurious Halo voice, which I think is probably also for the best because like Master Chief in the games, like he's more of a one-liner guy. Like he'll have like extended dialogue, but like it's really just the delivery of like these moment-to-moment things. If he's a main character in a TV show, he's probably gonna need to talk a little bit more. So we're just gonna have to get used to a more talkative, less luxurious sounding Master Chief.
I think that was one of the justifications for not casting like Charles Martinet as Mario.
Yeah.
That, well, you've only ever heard Charles Martinet make like a single, like a few sounds as Mario per game. So
every now and again, a small
wholly
phrase.
different. Yeah, that's wholly different than like doing like 2 hours worth of dialogue.
Right. Like so,
And
just think of it as a new Mario.
I do wonder if maybe we've been a little bit spoiled by The Witcher with Henry Cavill almost like perfectly doing Doug Cockle's Geralt voice.
Yeah.
Just with a British accent. I mean, he even says in interviews that that's what he based the voice on. So I'm like, God damn it! If that's how you appeal to the game character, the people who are coming from the game series as well, is just bring the voice and it's perfect. And then I think we're a little bit spoiled by that, or I am at least.
No, I think you're right. Yeah, like you can tell like who these things are kind of aimed at. Like The Witcher, especially since Henry Cavill is such a big geek and fan of that stuff. He was like, "Hey, we're doing this for the gamers. We're because they're the people who like are gonna tune into this." And Halo is such a transmedia icon at this point. They're like, we want to capture new TV watchers, like people who don't play the game, are who we want to watch this show. And so, yeah, like Ash. And so they're making, I think, the changes that'll probably appeal to that wider audience rather than the Halo hardcore.
It's a bit odd to me that this is the vehicle through which we're trying to push Paramount Plus. So I feel like even some of the streaming services that didn't initially get off to a very like propitious start, like maybe Apple TV Plus, which didn't really have a whole lot on its slate when it started off. I mean, it's going now. It's got a lot to offer. But I mean, Paramount Plus maybe not so much, in my opinion. It doesn't really have a lot to its name, and I never would have thought, okay, Halo. It's like, by the way, here's our new streaming service for you to pay a subscription fee for on top of everything else that you're going to be paying for. And so how are we going to sell it to you? Halo. I'm like, okay.
I mean, it does come out of
seems
left
a little odd
field.
to me. Yeah.
How much did Paramount pay to get Halo? That's the question I wonder. They had to have paid a lot of money.
I don't know. At this
Yeah,
point,
Viacom,
I'm wondering if Microsoft paid them just to put it somewhere because
Really?
like, they've been struggling to just get it made.
Oh, I didn't know that. See, I thought it would be easy for them to find somebody who would have took it.
No, that's a
just
joke.
because of how big Halo was.
I'm sure Paramount did try to cough some money for that. But yeah,
I think my final thoughts on this is, I'm happy that they're making this a whole new canon story, separate from the games.
Mhm.
I feel like to understand the game's lore, you have to do a lot more reading than playing the game.
yeah.
Very similar to Destiny. And it wasn't necessarily something I was down to do in the moment of shooting aliens in the face. So I'm glad to be able to have another meeting where we just start fresh, get into it. And I know I'm going to have similar themes that I've seen before, but it's, everyone's starting at the same level. I'm happy about that. I'm not going to lie.
Fair enough. I agree. Okay, so we'll put the Halo talk to bed for now, because we'll probably have more mention of it later in the show. But our next topic, Google Stadia, everyone's favorite premier streaming video game platform, apparently is calling it quits. Google plans to rebrand Stadia to Google Stream and essentially license its tech to other game companies. So, for example, apparently they want to have deals with like Capcom, and whereas Capcom can basically stream their games through the Google Stream service. So it's more of a partnership with other developers and publishers putting games out via Google's back-end streaming technology, which apparently is very good. Like, people who have used it have liked it. It's just Google seems to have... Oh, bless you. Google seems to have...
Bless you twice.
She's allergic to the word Google seems to have.
Apparently.
I'm allergic to Stadia, goddammit. I have a very long history with Stadia, so.
Right, so...
Dead. She's actually allergic to the Stadia. That's hilarious. Sorry.
But no, because Blue will remember, like, when rumblings were first happening about Google entering the game, so I was so excited. I'm like, they have the money to really turn everything on its head. I was so excited for it, and every step of the way, they kind of botched it. And for them to finally get to the stage where they're like, all right, we're shuttering our first-party studios, and now the actual service that we started, we're just going to let other people use, and like they can pay us to use it, is basically them just calling it quits after, what, 3-4 years of attempting to get into the business? It's wild.
Usually how quick Google cuts out, though.
It's funny because, like, just like you said, Sig, I think we're still doing... was it the Blue Bones Entertainment show or the Gamescast?
Yeah,
at
the BBET Gamescast.
And yeah, we were doing the Gamescast at the time when they first announced this, and we were like, "Yo, Google knows internet. They got this. The streaming, they should have this on point. As long as they got the games." And then every step of the way, they did not have the games. Not even once. We were just like, "Oh, we got to get a Stadia for that." Like, not even once. That hurts so bad. That hurts so bad. Like, I feel like they forgot that part of the plan.
Lampy in chat is saying, Casey, that's not what's happening. They're looking at white labeling their technology, but not to stop their consumer offering of Stadia. This is another case of lots of outlets all reporting on a single article. Everyone is reporting on Business Insider, and no one is getting new information.
We're not even on Business Insider.
No, but our article says from Business Insider reports.
Interesting.
No, I read the report. It's yeah,
I see that. Okay.
Most people, but the thing is, most outlets are basically rehashing or regurgitating what Business Insider said.
So what we're saying here is that they're white labeling their technology. Does anyone know specifically what it means to white label your tech? Because that's not a term I'm personally familiar with.
But say, I would assume it's still like what we were saying, but they're still offering their own.
Yeah, because they are intending to license it. Right. They're saying Stadia is not going to go away, but then also other people will be able to use the back-end technology. Like, is that the case? Whereas they're making it possible for other people to compete with their own service. Like, is that what I'm hearing?
They'll probably still drop Stadia soon, honestly, but maybe they're trying to see how much money they can get by doing this and then dropping Stadia after they start getting some of that money back from all the investments into it. Maybe.
Lampy says
I don't know.
it means
Me
to
so less
allow
than us to
someone
license.
else to license it, but use it within their own product. Yeah. So essentially, they can make their own Stadia, or they can just use Stadia's tech to do the same thing Stadia does. So if
That's
you're
what they were using with. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just saying, like it's like it's essentially like you're allowing other people to compete with you using your own stuff. In that way, how is there any confidence in like your own stuff?
Well, to give Lampy credit, what they're talking about with this is that they are using the Google Stadia streaming tech, the stuff that powers Google Stadia, to let other people think. Like in this case, they let Peloton stream a Peloton racing bike game. I didn't actually see any pictures of what the game was supposed to be,
Mhm.
but you can stream using the Stadia streaming tech. You stream that to your Peloton, so you can play while you do whatever people who use Pelotons do. I'm not one of them.
It's a workout
Oh,
exercise.
something like that. Yeah,
like,
I don't
yeah.
do that. No, I don't do
Stationary
that.
back.
But yeah, so that's what that's the use case that they are talking about in this instance, and it's something that I agree Lampy is right. It's something that they can develop independently from the Stadia like offering to gamers. But I think it's worth considering, based on them attempting to do that, what the outlook is for Stadia as a consumer-facing product
Mhm.
itself. So, like, I do think it is still viable to say, is Google Stadia about to die? And oh gosh,
No,
I would rather hear
Game
your
Studio
guys'
is.
thoughts before I start on it, because I could go on for a while.
Their
So
Game
you guys go
Studio-
first.
If their game studio is not about to die, that's because it was never alive. That's how I feel. That's 100% how I
Like-
feel. I don't care what they're doing with this tech. They could be streaming freaking. I don't care. I really don't care. They could stream soccer for 24 hours. I don't care. But the fact is, right? They're not making games. They're not making good games. They're not making games that we want. And if you're trying to compete in that spectrum, which it seems like they're not trying to do no more, then what are we talking about then?
Lampy says companies white label tech all the time while keeping their own products alive. That may be true, but we are talking about
they have a
Google
product
Stadia.
to keep
Yeah,
alive.
yeah, we're
They
talking
have a
about Google
product to keep
Stadia,
alive.
a product
It
that
has no product to keep alive. They're throwing in the towel, bro. Like,
yeah, like I fully see that as the case here. Like I can't imagine that Google's doing well. If anything, I can't imagine Stadia like by itself is bringing any money, right? So like this might be a way to kind of leverage the technology, because they all know that that's still functional and good and is important, because Microsoft has their own servers, Amazon has their own servers. It's important that Google maintain streaming servers for whatever purpose. So if they can license that out to other people to kind of keep the project afloat, they'll probably do that. But they haven't shown any interest or any real tact in making the Stadia part of that business successful. Like they keep flubbing up what should be very well. I don't want to say it's easy, but there are other companies that have basically shown you what you're supposed to do. Like Game Pass exists.
Yeah.
PlayStation Now exists. Like offer a library at a reasonable monthly cost. Google, you have the pockets to do this. They don't seem to want to divert the funds to make that a reality. And so they're floundering.
or hire the right people.
Yeah, so rather than pay the money that way, they'd rather license the tech to essentially recoup money. And it's like I don't think they have their priorities in order to really break into this business the way they thought they probably would with just the tech by itself. So I don't know. It's very disappointing. xCloud is not garbage, Lampy.
Why is
That
he
is
getting
not
into
true.
this
I don't
right now?
know.
Like this has nothing to do with the conversation.
Lampy, are
and plenty
you-
of people use xCloud and it works.
xCloud
So I
is
don't
not
know
garbage. Wildly untrue.
I mean, Lampy, come on! I'm on your side. I'm on your side. Are you? But I mean, I am curious to if there's any case to be made for Stadia as a consumer product, because I feel like Stadia has been stumbling out of the gate, honestly. Because I mean, if you remember when it was first launched, it was all like they were hyping up the whole like the cloud gaming. It's like you can game from anywhere. You don't need a console, and all you need to do is pay this low monthly cost or no cost at all, and you get these huge streaming libraries. Meanwhile, when it launched, you didn't get either of like the base services. So like you couldn't just buy Stadia Pro or just subscribe to Stadia Free. You could only get Stadia if you purchased a $130 Chromecast bundle that came with a controller. So it's like, we'll free you from the tyranny of consoles. Buy this, not a console.
That's almost a console.
And then
price.
it took them like what, a year to launch Stadia Free. I mean, probably longer. And according to like, there was a Bloomberg, they've never released user numbers, but there was a Bloomberg report last year that said they missed their like their subscriber count by hundreds of thousands. And this is during the COVID pandemic, which is like, like
folks are home.
Gaming is like spiking so dramatically during COVID. There's a part of me that can't help but think Stadia. This is, I mean, if Stadia failed during COVID, this is Google not being able to sell water in the desert.
Yeah, 100%. No, you're absolutely right. They have everything going for them in this time, in this climate, and they still mess it up. I don't know their other finances either, but I feel like they got money to hire the right people to get this done. But I don't know what the planning room looks like, and I don't know what the bank account looks like.
That's the thing. Like they did. They hired like really prominent like game developers to head their companies to like go out, find talent, and make games, and somehow refuse to like give them any resources or help to get those games made. And then in less time than it takes to make a AAA game, they shuttered all those studios. Like they did not care enough about this project. Like I don't know what they thought they had in their hands, like how long they they thought this would take to take off. But like someone at the top was extremely impatient with anything that had to do with gaming and Google. Like someone just was not on board with this project. It seems like from the get-go. So like
some old head, man. Some old head.
So okay. So I haven't said anything yet, so I'm gonna make mine quick. The main reason I was actually in like Stadia's one of its like, I don't know if it's the first, but it was definitely one of like its very early betas that was public anyway. So a public beta.
The one that let you play
I got into that. Yes, I was in that one. So that was a beta, wasn't even fully out yet. The game ran fine. I had no issues, right? So I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. I like the main issue I had with Stadia, and also to kind of answer for Honey Money asking, what about Stadia right now? Have you guys tried it recently? The reason I haven't tried Stadia again is because one, there's no games on there that I don't already own, honestly, or already have other outlets of ways to play that I need to get Stadia for. But two, I hate their pricing model. That's honestly what I hate most about Stadia, is just how everything works. It's either you go on Stadia, I think you can still buy the game full price, right, and play it.
Yeah,
I believe.
Yep.
So you got to go and buy the game full price, and you stay there, which that might be viable if you just don't have a powerful enough hardware, but have good internet speed. That honestly sounds like the best way to use Stadia, because going for the Pro, I think just sounds stupid. It's kind of like any subscription model where I pay a monthly fee but don't get everything that's there. And then if I want to get other certain things, I have to still pay for that as well. I usually don't enjoy. Like for Game Pass, right? I pay for Game Pass. I get all the games on Game Pass. If I want to buy it and own it, so that way if I stop paying for Game Pass, I'll still have all of that. I can still even get it at a discounted rate. That makes sense for me. I follow that. I'm already giving you guys money, so you give me a little discount to make me feel like it's worth it for me to even potentially buy a game from you guys. For Stadia, is you get Pro, you get, and I checked just now, they only have 50 games that you get for free on Pro. That's literally what they say, free with Pro. And I'm like, but you're paying a subscription. It's not free. I'm paying you for Pro. It's concluded with Pro. And then after that, there's even less games that you can buy with Pro with a discount. So that means the rest of the games on there don't have a discount, full price. That makes no sense at all.
But on top
every
of that,
game should have a discount.
On top of all of that you're saying, there are a lot of games that are just not even on Stadia. Like stuff that's releasing on other platforms, Stadia just doesn't include.
Nope. Yeah. And it was at least.
Go
ahead.
Sorry, just real quick. even after everything you just said, Ash, why would you play the Stadia?
Right now, I'm trying to get it. Right now, I'm trying to get a graphics card though.
But like, what's the draw?
The only draw be I'm struggling with some of the newer games that are coming out on PC, but they don't have those games on Stadia. So if they did, I actually would have gotten a game on Stadia because I get a gig down and 500 up. I can actually probably stream a game from Stadia and then outbound stream it with my upload. You know what I'm saying? I could probably do that. I know I can't.
I'm just about to tell Lampy that I'm gonna stream that for him so he can see how not 15-minute wait time it is.
So I mean, like, whatever.
Real quick, I just want to address because Lampy is describing a completely different experience with xCloud than anything I've had or heard from people around me. Maybe this is a regional thing. Like I don't know if Microsoft servers are like maybe more prominent to like areas in the US than they are in like the UK. Like that could be the problem. But it's definitely not, in my opinion, the worst of all the different streaming things. Like, it functions for me. It functions just as well as Stadia. But I have not used Stadia since I want to say like 2018, 2019, like when I was like just before the pandemic, when I was working in like a gaming lounge because they had it in there and I was testing it out there and it worked fine.
Yeah. So
I play Rainbow Six Extraction, xCloud all the time. I have not downloaded it on any of my consoles, and I've had maybe 2 hiccups since I started playing it when it dropped. Bruh, I have 0 complaint. Like you can't argue with me on that. Like I'm gonna stream it for y'all to see Lampy. Like this, xCloud is not Stadia.
So for me, I haven't played Stadia at all. Granted, Rainbow Six Extraction has a free trial on Stadia right now. You don't need a subscription or anything. You just make your account. You can play it on Stadia. So I might try just to see if stay, but it was stable during the beta and it was stable a little bit. I play after it launched, so I don't see any reason why it wouldn't still be a stable experience to stream anymore. But yeah, that's the only draw I had the Stadia, but it has no games that I would want to play.
Yeah, it's the library.
Well, that's always been the problem.
Yeah,
that's it. So the library and the pricing model are literally why I think Stadia is just not a viable option. If it at least had the library, then maybe I could buy the 1 or 2 games I want from it and stream it on there. Because like I said, like if I try to play certain games just because I can't upgrade a graphics card right now, which is why streaming games should be very prevalent right now. And they could really be taking advantage of this because no one can upgrade their rigs right now and get newer graphics card or newer hardware. So they'd be like, oh, you want to play the newest games that are coming out on your PC, but you don't have the hardware to do it? Get Google Stadia. You know what I'm saying? It'd be real easy to do that right now, but they're not on top of it, and I don't get it. So yeah, I don't like Stadia not for the stability, but just for the library and pricing models.
Yeah, nobody's ever said that the tech behind it doesn't work. Sorry, Ash, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You're fine,
I just want to agree with you.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Yeah, the tech's fine. And Ubisoft even, all of their games are on Stadia and Amazon Luna. They have like a partnership with both, I guess, because they're trying to be like, yeah, I think streaming works. We'll put our games on there for you guys to do it.
Yeah, because they're Ubisoft. That's what it stands for.
Yeah, because they're Ubisoft.
Ubiquitous software. Like they're gonna be everywhere.
They're gonna be everywhere. So that's really all they have is Ubisoft and then a few other like big AAA games. Otherwise, everything else on there. I'm looking at the games that are free with Pro a minute ago, and I was like, most of these are games that I don't want to play. They did just get the new remasters for both Life is Strange and Life is Strange Before the Storm.
They just got them. Nobody cares about that.
Well, the remasters.
Remasters. Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, so there's some new. They just got those, but those are probably like the newest, bigger titles that they have on there. Granted, they just came out, but everything else is like older games that people have already beaten by now. Like, there's not really anything going on their selection. So, yes,
like
it's just sad.
Yeah, the core of this is that. If you were like a heavy gamer, like if gaming is like one of your main pastimes, Stadia probably wasn't gonna be for you. And like if you want to break into the gaming like pantheon, I do think it's important that you hit hardcore gamers first because they're the ones who are gonna evangelize your product and then kind of sell other less interested people
like more casual.
Yeah.
Well, the problem for me, sorry.
Mm-hmm. No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say the problem for me is that, I've always had a problem identifying who Stadia's audience is supposed to be because the tech would seem to be targeting a very like specific subset of gamers, people who like maybe can't afford to get like $500-$600 consoles, which is totally fine. People who maybe don't necessarily have like these super powerful rigs that they can PCs that they can play games on. People who are like, all I have is a what's the term for the Chrome based laptop?
Chromebook.
Chromebook, thank you. It literally, I'm sorry, my brain.
You're good. We're here for you.
People who've got a Chromebook and nothing else, and like, I want to play Assassin's Creed. Then Stadia could be like, we got you. Just get a Stadia, for free. You just buy Assassin's Creed Valhalla. You can stream it on your Chrome browser as long as you got Chrome. You're good to go. Like I can totally see a use case for that. But that use case is not hardcore gamers. It's not casual gamers. It's like a very specific subset of people for which this could possibly appeal. And they did try to, target hardcore gamers by like aiming specifically at the like free yourself from the tyranny of the consoles and the PCs and game anywhere you like. And they really tried to go in hard on that. And gamers, just from what I could tell, just kind of went, not really for us.
Again, the library, and they were pushing Destiny 2 so hard. Again, if you play Destiny 2 regularly, you're in a cult. You're not switching your platforms. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and it's not crossplay with other people. Stadia's on their own server, so you can't even play with other people who.
Yeah, the crossplay stuff wasn't a thing then, but even after, like, Stadia is still different because the cross save, I think, was like a one-time thing, like, right?
Mm.
Like you can move your character back and forth from PC to.
I think it depends on the game, probably too.
No, I'm talking about Destiny in particular.
Destiny.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
I'm not sure about that. I feel like I've played. Well, you know what? It's almost the same platform because I played it on my PC, but that was through that's through Game Pass at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I played it on my console, and those characters definitely crossover. But I don't know if I went to Stadia or if I went to the PlayStation, how that transfer would go. Yeah.
Like it says, it's fully cross-platform, so you can
play
with the Stadia.
It is now,
folks. But that came later.
I remember before,
like that.
Okay.
That wasn't when it launched. Like when they were championing Destiny 2.
That wasn't
like,
Stadia's doing either.
Yeah, that was Bungie stuff that came after.
Okay.
So I remember people were. Well, I didn't hear about it until I think like a 2K game was on Stadia, like NBA 2K game was on Stadia, and people were like, "Wait, so if I get on Stadia, not only can I not play it with people on console, I can't even play with other people on PC either because they were on Google servers only. Like you couldn't even play with people who got it on Steam or Epic." And I was like, "Why? I don't understand." Like it was just confusing to me. It's like, how does that work? Well, I get how it works, but I'm like, why do you not make it work properly? Like I should at least be able to play with other PC people. But
yeah,
whatever.
It looks like they got it now at least.
They got it now. Okay, that's good.
And Lampy saying at launch it was cross with console.
Console.
So that's something.
Okay. Yeah, because I was like, that's just weird.
Going back to your point, Rachel, that was the biggest thing that they were pushing for hardcore gamers. And again, if you into the Destiny scene, there's a low chance. I mean, there's obviously some people who did want this the Stadia for Destiny 2, as you can see Lampy's pointing out there, but I don't think that's close to the majority at all. Yeah.
Also, I haven't used xCloud that much, but it did work fine for me when I played Skate 3 because I really wanted to play Skate 3 again after all these years.
I think it's regional.
Well, I'm here for GeForce Now, honestly. I think GeForce Now, Lampy mentioned that as well. I think GeForce Now fills the niche that I think Stadia was supposed to fill. And I've used GeForce Now, and it's always worked really well for me. And I mean, maybe you don't get the best quality. It's not the same as playing, like, I think I played Greedfall on GeForce Now. Maybe not the greatest quality compared to playing it off my PC, but it was smooth, it worked, and that's all I can ask from a streaming service, from a cloud gaming service.
Did you get their they got like a new 3080 like plan now, don't they? I think recently. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I don't have that. I don't have 3080 money.
I think it's like 16 or 17 a month, but I think you pay $100, like one payment of $100 for 6 months of usage for the 3080 plan.
I don't have 3080 money.
Yeah, I don't. Let me see.
Yeah,
wait. So it
seems really expensive to me. That's
exclusive access. Exclusive access to 3080 servers, 8-hour session lengths, up to 1440p at 120 FPS, and you can use a 4K HDR Shield TV as well. But basically, you can use a 3080 rig for 8 hours a day for $100 for 6 months, which I wouldn't be playing for more than 8 hours a day. So I guess that's not a bad thing per se, but that's kind of sad.
Timer on me.
I don't want a timer either, right? That sucks. It was like, that's weird. It's only 8 hours, but I probably wouldn't pay.
Yeah,
So for me, I wouldn't
you
care.
wouldn't have 8 hours of time to dedicate each day, though. So,
I wouldn't. But it feels
right,
weird as a gamer to be like, you can play
icky.
8 hours. I'm like,
it feels.
I'm like, I'm an adult.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
It's stated with the cloud gaming. It seems like, you know, the old aphorism. It's like good, fast, cheap, pick two. It feels like with cloud gaming, it's like you know, big library, inexpensive, and you know, stream anywhere, pick two.
That's fair.
So that seems to be the way it is with all of the. I've never played Amazon Luna's cloud gaming stuff. Does that?
Yeah, me either.
I got into its beta, but
that...
I never tried it, so I couldn't tell you.
Is that like
I probably still could
released
try it.
It's out
now?
there.
Is that's like a fully released product now, or is that
it might be? If you
it
have,
occurred to me that it was a thing, and I haven't checked it out in a while.
if you have Ubisoft Plus, I think you're automatically enrolled in now. At least that's how I got into it. I had Ubisoft Plus, and Ubisoft sent me an email saying, "Yeah, you can sign up for Luna for free." Basically, I don't know if it was a trial or whatever, but just so
Ubisoft stuff's about to be on Game Pass, right? Or is it already there?
Well, they're bringing their block of subscription stuff to the Xbox console, I think is what it means.
Oh, that's right. It's still going to be a separate subscription.
Yeah, it's still
kind of like EA did.
Yeah, but except EA actually rolled their stuff in now.
Okay.
Yeah.
But at first it was similar. Like EA Play existed on console, you could subscribe to it separately, but then they rolled it in. So I don't know. Maybe we'll do that eventually. But either way, anything left on this particular topic before we move into our final one? Alrighty, let's move on to the big news. Sony bought Bungie, makers of Halo, which is weirdly Microsoft's flagship franchise. Now the ones who are in sole control of Destiny and Destiny 2, well, Destiny 2, which is their big live service game, at the cost of $3.6 billion. So, you know, in the grand scheme, of things, pales in comparison to Microsoft's recent deal of $68.7 billion. But I mean, come on now, you're buying one dev versus an entire, like you can't really,
exactly.
That's a lot of money for a single developer.
This was not a response to the Activision acquisition. This was not a response to that. That was something
that's the thing, right? Like there's no way it could have been like a direct response to that. The timing doesn't match up. But the fact that it's Bungie still feels like it is.
Right, it does.
Yeah, you can't see one without you can't see it without the context of this larger thing. That January 2022, man, oh my God,
yeah.
This is the year of mergers and acquisitions.
Wow.
Crossover episode, villain arc. You know what I mean?
But so what do you guys think of this move for Sony? Like, and one, let's first clarify. This is kind of a unique deal. Like Bungie kind of flat out of the gate said that they are still keeping their current games multi-platform, and that they reserve the independence to release any future games on any platform. So like this isn't a deal that we've seen done for a first-party acquisition before. Bungie's kind of getting a unique deal here. So what do you guys take on this situation?
What I've been reading is that, you know, Sony is not after Destiny. That's not the target here. They're after the team for multiplayer online support.
Yeah, that's what Lampy just said too.
Oh, okay, cool. We on the same page, Lampy. Let's go. Baby.
I was about to say I didn't know that. You just started saying it too, and I was like, oh, I guess everybody else knew that. Nah, it's just me.
Yeah, no, they're after those talented people. And you know, that was the first thing that made this deal make any kind of sense to me. Because before this, I'm just like, okay, you're picking up Bungie, cool. Destiny 2 is like the big thing that you're hearing about that, but you're keeping it multi-plat. And most of the stuff that you're talking about here is going to be retained multi-platform. Okay. We know that Sony PlayStation has the gun that's filled with exclusive bullets, right? So why are we not doing that? That was the question. You know, you're not proficient in this weapon, sir.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so after the secret mission is actually being after this team. I think that's interesting. I think that you would have to see how valuable this, if it's really $3.6 billion worth of a team here.
It's
For
technically a
whatever
little
reason.
more than that because right after a story
Yes.
released that said that they spent like an
Okay,
extra
mention
1
that.
point something billion to retain the staff. So like if people get extra like money added to their pay if they don't leave the company for a certain number of years. So it is like Lampy saying, like Blue saying, they want the team. They want these guys' expertise
It's
for
not about
more than
mercy.
just, the games that they're producing.
Yeah. So that's I think that's the bigger picture now, seeing if that price tag is really worth this team. And if these online experiences become half as good as PlayStation, or I should say Sony exclusive single player experiences, now we can have a conversation.
Well,
Yeah, I think
okay.
people get a little hung up on the numbers. Sorry, Casey. Sorry.
No,
I
go
feel like
ahead. Go ahead.
I just saying I think people get a little, because they're happening at roughly the same time, are getting a little hung up on the numbers part of it. It's like
Poor.
sort of so I think I saw somebody tweeting about this. It's like, well, Sony bought this Bungie for this much. Well, that's chump change because
Correct.
Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard for like these purchases serve two completely separate
100%.
like needs within the
Yeah.
company. And I think for Sony, the purpose is to use Bungie to try to develop more live service games to increase the viability of their online multiplayer
Yeah, and
offering.
Sony said
which
as much
is-
to that effect. Like they released a thing saying like,
Mhm.
"Hey, we're gonna make 10 new live service games."
I mean, could we consider that maybe there's something where this is all part of its like desire to like there's still the rumors that it's working on something it's sort of competitor to Xbox Game Pass, and part of me kind of
Mhm.
wonders if maybe this is part of that in a way.
It
I
would-
don't think
yeah,
we're
it
going
would
to
have to
necessarily
be,
see
right?
the fruits. I don't think we're necessarily going to see the fruits of it until later, because I mean Bungie just they just walked in the door and they're already being said, okay, now make 10 live service games. But so I think we wouldn't see the fruits of it for a while, but I do think that that's the context that you should be looking at this purchase in, not necessarily like the Activision Microsoft thing. Like that's
That's a
in a
different
completely
thing.
that's in
Mhm.
another building entirely.
Yeah, a much
But it's on the
bigger
same
building.
block, and that's why people keep looking at it. That's the problem. Different building, same block. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I like that you brought up the fact that they're trying to do the Spartacus is the code name for their Game Pass competitor
Spartacus,
service.
there.
Because I find it very difficult to believe that Sony would start putting their single player games on that service. Like you pay a flat fee and then you get access to like the best Sony has. Because like Blue mentioned, like their entire model is based around exclusivity and like this kind of premium prestige kind of experience that they are more than willing to have you pay extra money for. Like $70 games is like they flat out said it. So to try and then go the value proposition like Microsoft has been doing seems just kind of complete, especially since Sony is still number one. Like they're not losing to Microsoft just yet. Like Microsoft is gaining ground.
Well, Tencent is number one. But
Yeah, sure. But like in terms of the Sony Microsoft beef, like Microsoft is, definitely gaining a ton of ground since last generation for sure. But Sony is still on top. So like they still probably feel like they can do what they want. And in that case, if they're going to make a live service that has any chance of competing, then they probably want to get a team that can put a bunch of live service experiences on that. So like maybe the multi-platform stuff that Bungie's going to be making and helping co-develop with maybe other studios, that's probably what's going to fill up their live service thing. And it'll still be Spider-Mans and God of Wars that are outside of that bubble, because Sony has to
Right,
have their
zero
cake and eat it too. Like that's just how they operate.
Mm.
So I mean that's what I'm thinking right now. You say as they should.
Hey, man. Yeah, man. Use what you got. Use what you know.
I mean, yeah, people are still buying the consoles for whatever it is that Sony
Still
has to put
selling
out.
out
So
every
yeah,
time.
so why change their winning formula?
Let's see what they got though. I'm not gonna lie. This acquisition at first confused me, and now I'm more excited for it than anything, just to see what they're gonna throw up in this new gaming arena. This new I wouldn't even just say gaming. I should say entertainment arena, because that's really what this comes down.
That's the other thing, right? Is Sony has movie studios and TV production houses and stuff, right?
Sony has
ahead,
appliances.
go ahead.
Yeah, like, you're right. Sony also has appliances, but like Destiny, now being underneath Sony's umbrella, can now be used for other things. Like you can make merchandising and movies and stuff that all comes back to like Sony's, Sony Pictures and whatnot. Like it's a good, and honestly, Bungie, the creators of Halo, and Microsoft is making their own TV show. They're really good at creating new worlds for lore, right? Like if the next thing that they do, even if it's still owned by Bungie and Bungie can, release what they want in terms of game stuff, Sony probably still retains the rights to use it to make TV shows and movies and, comic books, whatever the hell they feel like selling.
I feel like I should have sent this to you, Sig, especially for our shared love of Lance Reddick. But he recently tweeted or retweeted an IGN article about Sony wanting to help Bungie turn its franchise into movies. And he was like, yeah, I'm super down for that. And that's another angle I didn't consider. Because, like I said, this is not just about gaming. Sony has been, they were audio first, I think, and then they went into everything else. So it's just like they have the studios for this stuff. They can do. They've put together amazing movies. They put together amazing media outside of gaming, and that's not something that they're foreign to. So this might be right up their alley if they're going that route with it.
Yeah, and I definitely think we'll see that kind of stuff.
In like 1 year, I'd like to see a season of the Halo show, and I'd like to see the season of the Destiny show. I think
that'd be really. Oh man.
Do you think they blow up the internet? They made like a special crossover, like thing, even if it was not like a full in like the actual canonical of the season, but it's like a little crossover. Like anime, like there's a whole thing with Goku, Luffy, and Naruto, and even like Toriko are all in one anime special episode. Like what they just did a Halo Bungie special thing where it's just like
Force sort of crossover.
Yeah, basically just do that real quick. It's like, here you go. Here's Master Chief fighting people from Bungie or something, or fighting alongside,
like an Easter egg kind of thing, like homage being paid back and forth. I could see something like that more than a crossover.
Yeah.
Anybody says sounds like a CW show.
There's a Spartan whose nickname is like Titan or something like that, or maybe there's like a Guardian whose nickname is Master Chief. Or something, or what I mean.
They probably can't say Master Chief.
Okay, I'm
just
Chief.
MC. Look, just MC.
MC.
Just to make it clear, it'll be like MC, or it can say Chief, or you can call me MC. Like, why? And what's the M? Don't worry about it. Just something they can make it really obvious too, and people just laugh at it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they make it a comedic moment, it won't matter.
People just Mr. Chief.
Mr. Chief. Yeah.
But Mr. Chief. That's already a thing that exists in the Halo lore. So.
Oh, dang it.
I am a little worried about Bungie though. This is like. They've partnered and they've been acquired multiple times. Well, they were acquired by Microsoft and they had a publishing deal with Activision Blizzard. Mm-hmm. Neither of those turned out very well for them. I mean, they split with Microsoft and then they broke their deal with.
Yeah, I would argue the Microsoft Blizzard, one did work out very well for them because they.
Oh, it did. Well, yeah.
Yeah, like they kind of paid their dues and then kind of won their independence, and Microsoft let them go. I mean, they held on to the Halo IP, but
right. I just mean that they were striving for independence.
Yeah, they seem to very much value their independence.
So I mean, I'm hoping that this deal, because what I've read on the subject is that Bungie very much wanted to be independent for a while. They eventually became independent, and their deal with Activision Blizzard was not very profitable to them. They said, you know what, we want to go back to being on our own, so they did that, and now they're being acquired again. And so I'm hopeful that they mean it, that Sony means it when they say they say Bungie can retain that independence for the most part.
Yeah, because I can't imagine they'd have done this deal without that kind of freedom, right? Because like you're saying, like they have a track record of wanting to get out from under these bigger publishers. And this seems counter to that, except when you realize they can kind of still do what they want in terms of releasing games on whatever platform. So if anything, Sony will just ask them for favors from time to time. It's like a kind of a weird Godfather like situation. It's like, hey, we got this new studio spinning up. Why don't you go show those guys how to make a live service game real quick? And then that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna get this out the way one last time because I have to. It's not my fault. Sorry, guys. I've been watching another content creator for a little bit now, and I've adapted this from him. He's pretty successful, so he likes to fake demoralize his viewers. So every time when I said poor, when that's all the 3.6 billion, it's the same thing he does, even if someone's throwing bigger. It's like chump change, poor. Get out of my face. It's just his thing. I'm sorry. I know he sounds like an a-hole, but I promise he's not. Point is,
you're not making a case for him.
he did a subathon for his mods and paid them all the money that was donated, which added up to like $50,000.
Are you advertising for another content creator on this podcast?
No,
like,
that's what he made me say something nice. He made me say something nice.
What is the point you're trying to get to? Is my point.
My point is Sony is poor. They only put 3.6. But no. All right. No. All right. I'll make it quick because I didn't want to throw in my actual 2 cents.
Mm-hmm.
After you Blue,
2 cents
and
poor chump change.
That is right. Go on. That's why I said I was broke in the beginning of the stream. Too many games came out this month, and I can't play any of them. For the makers, after Blue and Lampy, you both clarified more what this deal was actually for. Mm-hmm. And like everyone was saying, that makes a lot more sense to what's going on because I didn't understand exactly what the plan was per se. I thought they were like buying the IP necessarily. Like that's what I thought, not actually going for the team. So them getting the team makes a lot more sense, and it would be great to see how Sony utilizes the team in the future. I know we also went a little bit into Casey, and I'm just gonna throw this also in real quick. When you went into the Spartacus program for Sony and everything, which I think is kind of funny. I know it's not the same thing, but Spartacus is a little too close to Spartan, which is also funny for me with the whole Bungie thing. I don't know, it's just funny. But I understand like what you guys are saying. Sony's still selling their consoles. They're still selling their consoles because of their exclusives, so it makes sense to not put their exclusives on there. Now, obviously, I would want them to because I agree. Am tired of buying other things.
Yeah, I want them to. But I just don't think they will.
I don't think they will either. And it's funny because I was like, maybe they would because I remember a while ago the CEO during an interview was talking about the platform, right, the PlayStation platform, and the main thing that they were focusing on were the numbers of subscriptions for PlayStation Plus. Like that honestly seemed like to be their biggest thing that they cared about was the subscription money, which I get. It's like guaranteed you keep getting this money while like say Sony only drops one exclusive that year, that's $70, but you could have had someone pay $15 a month for the whole year and made more of that money. So it really, I'm like, unless they're dropping 2 to 3 exclusives a year, they could still potentially make more money just by putting the exclusives in the streaming platform. Maybe. I don't know how the numbers crunch, but I mean, if they only drop one exclusive per year, it's not that much, not really worth it to not put it on there.
They must be doing the math, right? Like they need a certain number of people to be subscribed to their thing to make the development costs of their big first party exclusives being on that platform worth it. And probably now it's not. Because they don't see the growth yet, and like the development costs of those first party games, and like you're saying, the number of them that they can release on a regular basis probably doesn't add up. Because they've been focused on exclusives for years. Like that is their business model, is to make super high quality games that sell in the tens and 15s of millions across the console, right? And like that's really hard to do on a consistent basis. And the fact that they've been doing it on a consistent basis is admirable. Like that's probably why Sony believes that their shit don't stink, because like they're kind of defeating all the odds with the number of their high profile exclusives. But like
that's why those PS2 prices were so high when they first came out. Sony really was like, "Hey, what are you gonna do about it? You know you want it." So, but since I know for the most, hey,
my bad. I was just teasing.
But because I know for the most part, consoles are sold at a loss. Right, like when because they want to get the console in the home so they can get you on the platform so that you can continue to give them money in different ways. So like that's why I'm wondering if potentially it's cheaper. And I'm sure they know the numbers. I don't know their numbers. If ultimately it would be cheaper to just put their exclusive on that platform, people may not necessarily, especially if they put it on other things, not just PlayStation, but like if it's like Game Pass where I can put it on my PC, then you could potentially, depending on how they crunch their numbers, make more money by putting exclusives on a streaming platform and being like, yeah, just play your own thing. We might not even have to make as many of these consoles that we're already going to be selling at a loss anyway, on top of not putting out enough exclusives every year. So like, it just depends on how they decide to look at it. I'm sure one way, depending on how you expect things to go, they'll be like, oh no, if we did that, we'd lose money. But if you look at a different way and you push for that way, you might be able to pull it off and actually come out on with more money for it. I don't know. All I know is what I do want them to make the Spargus program. I want it to be on PC, and I want everything to be on it. And I just want to not have to buy anything ever again and just pay them monthly.
Yeah, that I wonder
dollars.
about. If there will be like PC functionality for that thing, because that would make a difference in terms of its.
But if there's no exclusives, do I care if it's on PC? You know what I mean? If the exclusives are on there, then I don't really need it to be on PC. I could just get Game Pass, which basically has any third-party game that Sony would have on there.
That's true.
And the ones that are missing will probably like. I know we weren't really talking about Activision Blizzard too much per se, but like Call of Duty, for example, I'm waiting to see who's going to put that on the streaming platform because it has to go somewhere, right? I guess Microsoft will put it on Game Pass now. Did they already talk about that?
I don't think they can do anything just yet because the deal is still,
right, not yet,
being worked out. But it will absolutely come to Game Pass. Like I don't think there's any doubt about that.
So it's like if the more of these third parties are already available on Game Pass on PC, if they did make their streaming service and wanted to put it on PC, there wouldn't be a reason to do it without having their exclusives, honestly, because I could just get Game Pass.
That's a good point.
People already have because they already have it for years at this point, a while now. So it's like, why would I get this one unless it has the exclusives? So that's why I'm like, I don't know. Unless they make it just for PlayStation consoles, yeah, I get it, but I don't know. We'll see. I just hope it comes to PC and it has exclusives. That's all I got.
All right. So, anything to wrap up the Sony acquisition of Bungie before we call it a day?
No, I went last. I have nothing.
Well, all right then.
No, I just want to add that, I do think that, the way we view the way we view this deal, it is sort of, I think, Sony investing in something. We're not exactly sure what yet, but I think it is Sony investing in expanding service, possibly Spartacus. It might I don't know what its Game Pass competitor is going to end up being, but I think that is what we can view this acquisition as. Whereas, the Activision Blizzard thing, that Microsoft and Activision Blizzard, that is just Microsoft buying a crap ton of IP.
Mm-hmm.
And, so they're both investments. They're just different kind of investments.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it.
Makes sense. So we'll see for both these companies how these investments pay off in the future, I guess. But very exciting times in the worlds of video game ecosystems and such. This is kind of stuff that really gets me excited about, like following game news. So it's fun to see. On that note, Ash, why don't you let folks know what it is you have coming up that they can check you out, where they can check you out.
What's up, everybody? It's Ash Redux. That's Redux with an E in the middle. Sorry, I want it to sound like blue for a second. But but you can find me at Ash Redux. I think it's above my head today, right? Right? Yeah, it's above me.
It's always up there. What are you talking about?
Shush. Don't judge me, Casey. But yes, you can follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and find me on Twitch or YouTube under Ash Redux. I don't have much on TikTok or YouTube yet.
I was about to say, you on TikTok?
I am on TikTok.
I'm gonna see what you've been putting on there.
I haven't put much on there. Granted, one of my TikToks, I only have two. One of them blew up. To me, it blew up. It had like over 2,000 watches, over 1,000 likes. To me, that's a blow up.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot. And I put the other one up like shortly right after that, and it didn't blow up. But I was like, that's okay. Point is, go there,
algorithm, baby.
The algorithm. Go there. Follow me on those. Help me out because I'm going to start putting more content up now that I'm back to actually creating content again more consistently. I'll be streaming this week. I'm actually hoping to stream both today and tomorrow. And I think I'll be playing some more Final Fantasy VII Remake, as well as I was going to try out KC because he mentioned this a while ago was Chorus, right? With the lady in the ship.
Yeah.
I was going to try to stream that this week, probably one of these 2 days, if not later on this week. And otherwise, there's this indie game that I found that I'm going to be playing. It's kind of like one of those like supposed to be super difficult, challenging type games. It's a 2D side scroller action, very difficult game. I can't remember what it's called right now, so ignore that. But just be there for.
I wasn't interested in what that was at all. So
no, you didn't care, right? Yeah. Oh wait, it's called Watcher Chronicles. That's it.
Oh, nice.
I found it.
Cool. That sounds interesting.
Watcher Chronicles. So yeah, that's what I'll be playing this week. So tune in.
Nice. How about you, Blue? What do you have coming up that folks can check out?
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Blue Bones BLUB0NES. This week on Wednesday, we have Over Wednesdays on the Open Party channel. As per the usual, last week we did amazing. This week we're going to do better. Friday is going to be Friday Nights with Blue at 9 p.m. Mr. Sigma, you're going to join me on that one, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, we're going to be playing Monster Hunter Rise. So definitely come through on my channel. Friday night, 9 p.m., Monster Hunter Rise. Sig and I used to play Monster Hunter World together a long time ago before we all got super busy.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of going back to our roots a little bit. Just a little bit. And I think we're going to have some fun with this. I know you've been a big fan of it for a while. I'm just getting into it, and I just started my high rank stuff. So hopefully we'll...
Yeah. I mean, I'm in the early high rank stuff too, so we're probably around the same.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. We in there, dog. All right. So yeah, guys, go ahead and check that out. It's going to be fun.
Nice. How about you, Rachel? Where can folks check out your work?
You can find pretty much everything I do routed through my Twitter, which is @RachelKaiser, and you can find my name right here. And today, the thing that's coming up the soonest is, as always, Stay Golden Sunday, and I have this custom shirt that my fiance gave me, so in case you had forgotten what that was, but yeah,
the Golden Girls.
Where my Golden Girls blog post, and I'm doing more on my blog lately just because things are a little like uncertain with my video situation right now, so I'm probably not going to be doing a lot of streaming or video content creation for the foreseeable future. So for the time being, most of my stuff is going to be in written form, and I just started my Midweek Madness column where I just talk about a bunch of entertainment related topics that I can't fit anywhere else. I started with an indie game review, and this week I'm going to do I'm probably just going to do a funny column on Honey Pop 2 because I brought it up in a show I was on a while ago, and everybody seemed to enjoy talking about it. So like, screw it, I'll talk about Honey Pop 2. So see that coming up next week. And so yeah, so for the time being, I'm only the written word, but hopefully you all enjoy it.
Nice. You guys can always find me at Sigma Gears 9 on Twitch and Twitter. Twitter, where I usually post what else is coming up. Very recently, I had a bunch of stuff all come out in short succession. I had my Ali 3-minute review drop. Very enjoyable game. Also wrote a companion piece to that where I compared Ali to the original Sonic games and how it's so much better than any of those games because those games are terrible.
Oh my god!
So read that. Just had my Sifu review go out, which I mentioned earlier in the show. That game is fantastic. Watch that, get my impressions. I'm planning to write something about Sifu's combat in the future as well. Don't have that fleshed out at all, but I'm gonna pitch it, so hopefully it gets done, gets made. I should have a video version of my Anime Deserves Better Video Games op-ed coming out in the near future, like maybe another week and a half or so, because I have to sit down and edit it, but that's coming. So let's check that out. Outside of that, you can find all my other streams for The Escapist on their channel. And I should be doing more solo streaming. Like I've been trying to be better at just streaming on my personal channel this week because I've been doing Horizon Zero Dawn, which some folks have joined in and watched. So I'll be doing that. And keep a lookout for a stream with me and my fiance where we play Telling Lies, that kind of video watching deduction game, because she's really into that stuff, and it just hit Game Pass, so that should be a fun time once we start that up. But in terms of the immediate Super Smash Sunday is on the Open Party channel at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join us there. If you're not already following that channel, make sure you click on over to some link somewhere, search for the Open Party, and you hit that follow button, and you join us. But other than that, I cannot think of anything else to add. But, you know, follow all these lovely people here on their individual channels. Follow the Open Party. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate you guys coming through, spending the cheer and the bits and the subscriptions and all that stuff. We will see you next week. Take care. Peace.